Welcome to Imprint, a podcast about creating a home and life you love. I'm Natalie Walton, an interior designer, stylist, and best-selling author focused on an holistic approach to homes. Each week, I'm sharing insights and interviews about the creative process to help you enhance both your interiors and well-being, as well as provide you with the tools and resources to make considered and sustainable choices with all that you create. Hello everyone, welcome to Imprint. Well, it's a new year, and with a new year often comes resolutions and intentions and goals. And it doesn't matter if you don't believe in New Year's resolutions, but I'm sure that there are some things that you've maybe got your eye set on, your sight set on in terms of what you want to achieve in this coming year. And I think that's a great thing. I love actually having goals, having plans, and really having a focus for the year. But one of the big things that can happen is that we can get stuck and we kind of keep repeating the same things over and over again. And I know that this happens because it happens with me, and I've been coaching probably over about 200 women at this stage in my creative coaching program, Design and Grow. And these have been women from a range of backgrounds, from interior designers, photographers, shop owners, health coaches, Airbnb owners. And there is one thing that is in common with every single person. And that one thing that is holding them back in their business and their life, it basically relates to mindset. And so today I wanted to share some tools with you that I help them to get past their roadblocks. Because what creates the results that we want in our lives? What is the difference between improving upon 2024 or making progress in your professional or personal life? It's not a New Year's resolution, as much as we might hope that is. It's not even saying a number, in your bank account or on your scales in terms of what you want to see. The actual thing that is going to create your results is your beliefs. So I want you to take a moment to consider right now, what do you believe about yourself? What do you believe is possible for you? Now, a few episodes ago, I shared my process that I go through to reflect and reset, to have a mental pause and close off the loops in my mind before taking a break so I can start the new year feeling refreshed and focused. And so today I want to share how I reset my mind and train my brain to help me progress and evolve in my life and business. So this process has actually been a huge, sharp learning curve for me. And it is a process that only started really a handful of years ago, but it has had a profound impact on my life and my general well-being. And it really is one of those areas of my life that I actually wish I learned years ago. I mean, I'm now helping and teaching my children some of these ideas because I hope they don't have to go some of the suffering that I've had to go through in my life. So I really want to share my process with you today. And, if you don't want this year to be another one of those years where you feel like you're just treading water and getting the same results and it feels like Groundhog Day, then I hope that you're going to find these tools really helpful and transformative. So the first part of this process is, like any real area, is to create awareness. And so what I want you to know is, if I was to ask you, what do you believe about yourself? You might struggle to answer that question. I mean, just think about it right now. Like, what do you believe about yourself? You might think, I don't know. I have to think about that. What do I believe about myself? But your results about what you believe are all around you. They are in the results you have in every area of your life. Your beliefs show up in the results that you have in your business, which relate to the hours that you work, the types of clients that you have, what you charge. These all relate to your beliefs. The beliefs that you have show up in the results that you have in your health and your general wellness. The food that you eat, the amount that you exercise, the amount of sleep that you get. The beliefs that you have also show up in your home, the amount of stuff that you have in your home, what you hold on to, what you wear, what you buy. All of these factors might seem like they're external to you, that they just happen to you, that they are just the circumstances of your life. You might just see them as facts, like this is what I eat, and you just see that as a fact. But the results that we have in our lives is actually based on our beliefs. So this might seem like a bit of a strange idea at first if you kind of haven't thought about it in this way. But you might have a list of reasons why you have particular clients, or why you feel like there are very good reasons why you're only, earning a certain income level or getting a certain amount of exercise. And you can maybe even justify all the stuff that you have in your home. And yes, sometimes there are external factors that create our results that are beyond our control. However, this is the important part. That is rare. The majority of the time, the results that we experience in our lives are based on our beliefs. They are based on the thoughts that we have about ourselves. And those thoughts are what propel our actions or inaction. Often, we have certain thoughts about ourselves or certain beliefs about ourselves, and we stay stuck. We just circle in confusion. We don't move into action. And so one of the greatest gifts that I gave myself was deciding to take responsibility for the results that I have in my life. Now, I didn't even know anything about this idea of responsibility, or I didn't even know or understand this concept until I read the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And this was while I was doing research for my book, This Is Home. And that book has been out for about 6 years. So, it's probably kind of close to 8 years ago that I came across this book. And, this is kind of in my early 40s. Just before I probably turned 40, I started to come across this. And I really wish that I had come across these ideas earlier. The irony is that my dad actually had this book when I was in my teens, and I used to laugh at him for reading books like that. I was like, do you need a book to tell you how to live your life? And I used to really kind of like poo-poo those kind of ideas and those kind of books, and I thought they were ridiculous. And here I am now telling the benefits of all of these kind of books. So just goes to show that we can all grow and evolve, and that maybe my dad was right. But like I said, I didn't even realize that I was doing this, that I was not taking responsibility for my life and my actions. And I really started to recognize the patterns, the way that I would sometimes blame external circumstances on my results, that I didn't have wealthy parents, and I didn't marry into money, and I didn't have creative parents, and I didn't have creative friends, and all of these things that I saw like were the reasons why I wasn't where I wanted to be. I wasn't, X, Y, and Z. And I'm sure that you have maybe, if you don't have them now, at some point in your life, you've had a long list of reasons why you are not where you want to be. And I realized that in a subconscious way, that these were the thoughts and beliefs and ideas that were really holding me back. And once I had that realization, and this realization that we need to be responsible, we need to take responsibility for the results that we want in my life, I made a decision that I was going to do that I was going to take that responsibility, because I realized that every result that I both have in my life right now is a result of the choices that I have made, and also going forward, that every result that I want in my life, I need to take responsibility. And I need to take responsibility for the actions that I take and the beliefs that I have about myself. So like I said, for me, really that first step was about creating that awareness. And, it's kind of that moment of kind of going, the reason that I don't have X, Y, and Z is because I do 1, 2, 3. So, if this is something that you feel like is holding you back, really create that awareness for yourself and realize What is that reason or that excuse for you that you're saying, oh, I don't have this, I don't have these types of clients because of X, Y, and Z, because nobody's spending money right now, because of the economy, because of X and Y and Z, and because, my children are at this age, or I can't do this, or blah, 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 blah. They are all excuses for us not taking responsibility for the results that we want in our life. Now, it could very well be that maybe you don't actually want that result. You think you want that result, but you don't want that result. So this is where you, and I can't say this for you, you need to have an honest conversation with yourself, or really, really reflect within yourself. Do you really want those results? What is it that you really want? Because if you don't have what you really want, it's because you're not taking, the right type of actions, maybe based on, sometimes you're not taking the right actions because of fear or because of doubt, but often it's related to the beliefs that you have about yourself. And so I want you to know that, I'm still on this journey. This is still a process, and I'm still seeing these patterns within myself, and I am far from perfect. And you will know that I don't believe in the word perfect. Like, it's a misnomer. But what I do believe is that we are all on a journey to become the best version of ourselves, the most actualized version of who we are. And I believe that in many ways, we are born perfect. That was probably the only time that I'll use that word. But, we learn ways of being, patterns of behavior to cope with the different circumstances in our lives, the different things that happen in our life. And that often we have to unlearn these behaviors. We have to come back to our true selves, that beautiful person that we were born as. When you see a tiny little baby and you hold a tiny little infant in your hands, and, that baby is perfect. There is nothing wrong at all with that baby, obviously withstanding any health conditions or so on. But in terms of who they are as a person, and they grow and they evolve. And because of, the schools that we go to, the teachers that we have, the parents that we have, and the beliefs that they have, or the, the siblings sometimes that we have, or, maybe, the people that we grow up around, all of these external factors can start to change. We start to adapt because we want to fit in with the people who are around us. And there's so many different reasons why we start to develop different coping mechanisms within us, that if I do this, then I will be worthy. If I do this, then I will be good enough. If I do this, then I will be accepted. And we start to behave in certain ways that ultimately don't serve us. They can be a short-term solution, but they can create long-term problems. And so, for me, on my journey over the past 10 or 15 years, it has really been to, shed those layers that don't serve me. And so I'm wondering what's coming up for you. Do you feel like you have developed layers and behaviors and thoughts that are not serving you and not helping you? And do you have layers that you really feel that, it's time for you to shed them, and really thinking about what is not serving you? But like I said, that first step is to create that awareness. And it sometimes is so hard to see in ourselves. And this has been one of the greatest, most fascinating experiences for me, being a coach of these incredible, talented, amazing, generous, giving, beautiful women that I have had the pleasure to be coaching over the past year. That every single one of them has got some kind of limiting belief that is holding them back. And I've got them too. We all do. I truly believe we all do. And obviously some people are more aware and they're working on this, and that's amazing, but it can be so hard to see it within ourselves. And, for me, in this stage of my journey, I'm really questioning still some of the beliefs that I have, because you go to a new level and you're like, oh, okay, I've shed those ones, but why is it that this one is still keeping me stuck? why is it that I'm still on this level with this particular belief? It keeps circling. I think that I've got it. I think that I've overcome it, but it comes up in a different way. Like, oh, I'm going to get rid of this area of my life, or I'm going to resolve this part of my life. And then somehow it seeps through and it comes through in a different part of my life. I'm like, wow, that's really fascinating. That even though, I say I'm going to do this and I put strategies in place and I implement certain ideas, and it's like, it keeps coming back. And for me, quite honestly, one of those things is just working hard. Like I've always, in the past, prided myself on a hard worker, and then I go, okay, I'm going to simplify my business. I simplify my business, I strip it back, and then it's like, oh, I've just added a new layer of complexity. Why do I keep doing this? And so, circling back to some of the most recent podcasts, this is why I'm always like, less is better. I'm keep trying to strip it back. But there are certain beliefs that I have, certain thoughts that I have that keep making me add this complexity. And so it's like, what is that? I've shed other areas that I've managed to let go, and I feel like I've really evolved in those areas, but there are some areas that I was like, it keeps coming back. There's a root cause here that I need to deal with in a different way. But creating that awareness is so important, and I can see I've got friends and colleagues, and they are amazing in certain areas. I struggle. One of the areas that I struggle with is I'm not a confrontational person. And I can see some people that don't have any issue with it. They're really confident about, having any type of discussion. And I admire that so greatly, because I have to dig so deep to, have any kind of confrontational discussion, or be really raw and open and honest and intimate in some ways. And they are challenges for me. And yet I can see, so I can admire that so much in them. And yet there are things about about them. And I can see like, wow, I can see how this just keeps coming up for you. And I can see that pattern of behavior in them. And so, we all have areas that, we have areas that are holding us back in some areas of our life. So we all need to recognize this in ourselves and, really sort of create that awareness about what is holding us back, what is preventing us from becoming the person we are meant to be. And like I said, I can see that I'm growing in my business and my revenue is growing, that there are certain areas of my business and the way that I live my life that just keep on repeating. And so, I can see this in relation to, like I said, the different stages and levels that I've been on. So when I was earning, say, like $60,000 when I was working in magazines, I had to then embody new beliefs, a new identity, to then go freelance and go over that 100K mark. And every level that I've reached in my business, I've had to become a new version of myself, a new version in terms of what I think and believe is possible. And so the second step in this process has really then to become about creating a compelling vision. And so, like I said, for me on my journey at the start, it was really about looking at other stylists who were ahead of me on my journey. I've always done this with authors and designers and creatives that I admire. Look at those who are ahead of me on my journey. And, I've always had this thought that if they can do it, so can I. And so I've been in many situations as well where I've seen behind the golden curtain. I've seen how stories are crafted about how people live their lives. And, I've stepped into so many homes of people I admire and people who, I maybe didn't know much about, but I was like, oh, that's interesting. They're at this stage in their career and look, I can see how they're living their life and oh, that makes sense. It's so fascinating to step into people's homes because you really get to see who they really are. And, I've always loved watching documentaries and I've interviewed, written loads of biographies and I've interviewed hundreds, if not thousands of creatives over the years, and these are, many ways people who are ahead of us on their journey, they have focused on a compelling vision and they've believed it's possible. They believe that they can make it happen. They don't always know how, But what is most important is that they do have that belief. And there's so much science to back this up too. We have to take on a new identity. And so, a great question to ask yourself is, who do I need to become to achieve this goal? What types of behaviors do I need to have? And this is actually also why it's so important when you're looking at people who are ahead of you on your journey in terms of, like coaches and mentors. And it's really important, and I know I do this myself. I see some people and I think, actually, that's not the life that I want to live, or that's not the type of business that I want to create. And so it's interesting when I'm looking for mentors in terms of really trying to pick the right ones, because I don't just want people who are either like hustling like crazy, or it's all just about creating a coaching business, because that's not the kind of business that I want. I still want to do my own creative work. And so it's really important for me to, be looking up, whether it's stylists or designers or coaches or whoever it is, to really be looking at those people who are living the type of life that I want to be living. And so, then asking like, well, what types of behaviors do they have? What types of values do they live in? What types of, how do they see themselves in the world? It's this idea of like, if you want to eat healthy, you need to be the type of person who plans your meals and makes sure there are healthy snacks in your home. Actually, our kids always joke that we are not a snack family, because they go to other kids' homes and there are so many snacks, like muesli bars and chips and crisps and crackers and biscuits and all of those sort of things. And we don't have any of that. And they joke, we're not a snack family. We are an ingredient family, because we're really healthy. Like, we don't have, and I really don't believe in all the rubbish that's in snack food, the sugar, the preservatives, the packaging, the plastic, the cost of snack food. It's such a ripoff. And, if they want cookies, they can bake cookies. If they want a cake, they can bake a cake. And it will taste better, it will cost less, and it's much more sustainable. So anyway, there's just like a little insight for you into my world and my family life, but they are values that are really important to me. So, but you need to think about how do you see yourself? What type of identity are you going to live in? And which takes us to the third step, which is to really live that vision. So the third part of this process is to live the vision and beliefs that we create for ourselves. So when I was quitting sugar many years ago, I would literally repeat in my head as I walked into a store, I'm the type of person who doesn't need to buy chocolate, or I'm the type of person who can walk into the store and buy milk and not buy, X, Y, and Z. So you can probably work out that is the reason why we don't have snacks at home, because, I had to become a type of person who is living a healthy life. And, we can also write these beliefs in our journal. We can have little mantras that we create for ourselves, but we really need to believe that it's possible. And importantly as well, and again, the science backs this up, we need to surround ourselves with others who are living these values. So if we want to, if we set a goal that we want to run a marathon, then some of the best ways to make sure that we achieve that goal is that we need to identify that not that I'm going to run a marathon, but I am the type of person that runs every day, and really embody that identity, that you need to surround yourself with other people who are living that identity. So join a run club, do the things so that you're really becoming that type of person. Not just that I'm going to do this, but this is who I am. And the more that you embody that identity, the more that you see yourself as, I'm the type of person who charges my worth, or I am a successful business owner. The more that you embody the identity of somebody who is, I eat healthy. I'm the type of person who doesn't have snacks in my home. I'm the type of person who plans and eats healthy food. The more that we embody these identities, the more likely we are to actually reach the goals that are in alignment with those. So, these are the part of the reasons why we live where we live, because it's so easy to be healthy here and, be creative and be an entrepreneur, because there are so many people who live like that in our area. So we really need to surround ourselves with people who are striving for the same type of success, the same values, because it ultimately makes the journey so much easier. So I hope that these ideas have been helpful for you. Like I said, they have been profoundly transformative for me in my life. Step one is really creating that awareness about the beliefs and the ideas that you have about yourself, and really opening yourself up to this idea that we need to take responsibility for the results that we have in our life, and that every result that we have in our life currently is our responsibility. And if we want new results, we have to take on a new type of responsibility for the choices that we make and, the way that we live our lives. And the second step is to really create that compelling vision for yourself. So it's really powerful to look around at examples of what's possible and really believe that you can achieve the same kind of success as well. And looking for those, examples of people who are a few steps ahead of you on your journey. And that third step is to then really embody the identity and live into that vision, so that, you're embracing the idea of that person who's achieving that goal. So instead of just saying, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, really embody the identity of the habits that you need to, participate in every single day to become that person. So it's like this idea of, if you've got a revenue goal that you want to hit in your business, or if you've got a health goal that you want to hit, then sure, you need to always, stay connected with that. But you need to be doing and creating habits every single day that help you get towards that goal. It really is as simple as that. We make it so much more complicated. But when you break it down into those, what are those habits? What are those daily behaviors? What are those beliefs and ideas and thoughts that I can practice and do every single day? Those little small things that can actually over time compound and have a huge impact and ultimately get you to where you want to go. I hope that you have found this helpful. I hope that this has helped you reframe perhaps and reassess some of the thoughts that you have in relation to what, some of the goals that you have for 2025. Like I said, I have found this process truly transformational, and I hope that it helps you on your journey. Until next week, have a beautiful week. All of the links and info for this episode are at nataliewalton.com/podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can get a direct download of the latest episode. And I really appreciate when you take a minute to rate and review, as well as share the love with someone you know who might benefit from this episode, or on social media. If you'd like to access a range of free resources, come visit my website, nataliewalton.com. Thank you to Jaeger Media for producing this podcast. And I would also like to acknowledge the people of the Bundjalung Nation where it was recorded, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I look forward to connecting again soon. I'm Natalie Walton, and you've been listening to Imprint.